Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm going to go ahead and provide you guys with another video showing off the other half of my childhood artwork. Now, I actually planned on drawing an image for this week's video, but I started working on it and then thought about it for a while and hated it so much that this is just what I'm going to do for the week. Alright, so I've shown this image a number of times. I've mentioned that it's the size of a post-it note. But, this is after a long hiatus after drawing images and stuff like that. I just got in my ATV accident and such like that, and maybe a few years passed, and I just kind of wanted to get into another little resurgence into artwork and wanted to see if I could actually understand foreshortening and such like that, if I could get this pose correctly. And I got it mostly correct. I mean, the torso is a little bit, it's too round on the front. I mean, it needs to be flatter on the front. But, by and large, I like the little image. I mean, it's not like the most detailed thing in the world. But, yeah, I mean, I'm satisfied with it. Nothing too special, just me trying out storytelling over a series of panels like a comic book, and yeah, just around the same time period, really. So this is what Vosh was supposed to look like originally. Basically, let me see if I can find him. Yeah, this guy. You guys have seen a bunch of pictures that I've drawn of him. I got, this is a sculpture I made in high school, and you can see just how he turned out. But yeah, this is the original version of him, and it's just generally a really stupid idea. Just the way that everything about him just seems wrong. But yeah, so yeah, I was just doodling with a Sharpie marker. And I thought it turned out looking good. I don't know why I kept going back to drawing angels, but it's just something that I did. One thing that I was trying to do at one point in time was I was trying to kind of create a repository of stick figure images and different poses and stuff like that. Freeze framing specifically, this is Star Wars. But what I found was it was just, I don't know, no matter how I tried to do the stick figures, it didn't really communicate the foreshortening correctly, and yeah, so it's something that never really worked. You'll see a couple pages with stick figures. This is another version of Vosh. I like how I did the proportions on his body, but I don't like how I did his face at all. It just looks weird. And here's another early picture of him. A lot of multiple perspectives going on. There's a completely different angle going on here with his pectorials than what's going on his abs. So that's a problem. And his, from his hips down, it just seems like it's really disjointed. But we all have to learn. And once again, it's just another picture with a guy standing in a white void. Yeah, a weird fish creature that could kind of sit in as a person's heart, but overall I started kind of thinking, well, how would a creature even evolve to be like that? And you can see that there's this thing here where it's able to attach itself to basically the brainstem and then basically form a full-on housing inside of the brain. And the idea was that when you die, someone else would inherit this fish to basically pump the blood in them, and basically you would retain all the memories of the previous host. Anyhow, yeah, it's just a weird idea that is implausible and improbable. It's just not practical at all. Practicing drawing women, there's not very many images like that throughout my childhood, and this was, it was 2003, it looks like. Yeah, it is what it is. Let's take a look here. Yeah, kind of a horrible image. I don't even know why I kept this around. It's like everything about it is a screw up. It's just terrible. The 2-point perspective vanishing points are too close together. What happens when you do that is like you'll notice that this angle, it's supposed to represent a 90-degree angle, but it is way too sharp. As lines on the page, it is way too sharp. I mean, obviously that's an acute angle, but like, you know, if I wound up drawing another object down here, it would be even sharper. And so when you put your vanishing points way too close, the image tends to look kind of weird. And you can see that I was kind of experimenting with this idea of a Dutch angle, like what would happen if the horizon line was tilted at an angle, and yet, you know, the vertical lines are still parallel with the left and right of the canvas, so it's not really a true Dutch angle. I didn't really know what I was doing at all. But, you know, you experiment and you figure out what you're doing wrong. The thing is if these vanishing points were way, like, just stinking really far away off the canvas, just way far away, what would happen is the lines drawn from your right vanishing point would almost feel and look as if they're parallel with your left vanishing point. So basically, and you might think, well, that's wrong. If you've ever experimented with that, where the vanishing points are really, really far off the canvas, basically, like this vanishing point is a bunch of parallel angles or parallel lines going, like, say, one direction, and then this vanishing point represents lines that are going at a 90-degree angle to each other. So when your vanishing points are really, really far away and they start as lines on the page looking like they're all parallel to one another, that's not a bad thing, actually. All that means is that you're drawing a picture that is really far away, and your picture is as if you were drawing an image inside of a telescope. Okay? But this is the absolute reverse of that, and so you get way too much of a viewing angle and way too short of a space on the canvas. And then I go ahead and draw this dude that he's just there for no reason, and he's poorly illustrated. I mean, he just looks like garbage. But anyhow, I mean, that's enough talking about a crappy image. But the thing is that what I've noticed is that with these videos where I've been talking about my crappiest images, I do spend a lot of time talking about them. Those are the most important images, your crappiest images, and what you can learn from them, that sort of thing. So yeah, another little repository of stick figures. You can see that I was trying to communicate, like, that's not a normal stick figure. I was trying to communicate different things like foreshortening and stuff with these little bits of symbolic stuff, but it just never worked. But yeah, if you screw up with drawing a picture, keep it. Especially if you drew from a reference, keep the reference with your screw up, and that's ultimately what makes you better over time. Being able to look at your reference and then going ahead and comparing the two. Eventually you'll see what's wrong with the image. And if you are just drawing from memory, you'll see what's wrong with the image eventually, at some point in time. I never did anything with this character, and yet, again, it's another picture of a guy standing there in a white void. There's nothing going on, there's no rhyme or reason for the picture. Another picture of a guy standing there in a white void, but he's slightly different in a pose. I guess it's me. I mean, at the very least, it's like practicing anatomy to some extent and figure drawing, but it's all the same. Like, this is literally the same picture. I mean, like, both of them have their palm up, their palms exposed, like exposed palm. So the radius and ulna are the exact same. Okay, radius and ulna, same positions. ultimately, like, the legs are just kind of spread out slightly differently, but it's ultimately the same. It's the same picture. It's the exact same picture. And so, like, if you have a ton of pictures and you want to show a really good artist all of your artwork, and you have like 1,000 pictures like this, do not show that artist that you want to impress all the thousands of pictures that are like this, okay? Because you're going to bore the shit out of them, okay? But I mean it's great that you're doing practice sessions and stuff like that, but like you just don't want to do that. I'm not trying to be mean when I say you're going to bore them. It's just that there's only so many times you can see the same picture, or a picture that's almost nearly identical to the previous one, until you get completely bored. And that's just the way it is. I mean, it's great that you're drawing and you're practicing and stuff, but like, try to vary it up. This right here, it's part of the storyboarding for the second Matrix movie, and I really liked in the first Matrix movie how they were able to get that visual effect of the bullet kind of tearing through space, and here, this is how they illustrate it. That was just a cool idea. So I just wanted to keep it around. This is one of the rare images where I went ahead and colored it. It's Spider-Man with a samurai sword, I guess, or just some sort of sword. And there's no reason why he would have a sword. I actually think the image looked better before it was colored. And although I like coloring pencils, one of the downsides to the coloring pencil is if there is any texture to the page, you'll notice that there's little voids of white inside of the color. And so I don't know. I think the kind of resurgence in popularity with alcohol markers is probably a valid one. But, I think that after you go ahead and lay down a base with alcohol markers, using a bit of color pencils on top of that would be good, because that white little bit of void wouldn't be visible because you already colored it with a marker. But yeah, I mean, it's an okay image, but once again, it's another picture of a guy standing there staring at the camera. Or not staring at the camera, but in a white void. He's not doing anything. He's just in a Captain Morgan pose, staring at his hand. Like, there's no reason to look at the image. Okay, me trying to draw out a full illustration. The thing that's missing out of it is storytelling. The problem that I was facing was that I've seen so many cool pictures drawn by comic book artists and just generally book covers, and normally it's like this right here, this little section right here. It's not bad. It's not bad in that if it was the cover for a book, it wouldn't be bad for a cover to a book. It's not really storytelling. It's just people posing for a camera. This might actually be able to get people excited. I remember watching or seeing the cover for the book, or the first book in the series, Elfstone of Shannara, and it was kind of like it's kind of similar to this. It just shows all the main characters and stuff like that. But like, this is just nonsense. It's just gibberish all over the page. But it was practice. It was me trying to figure out things, and the thing that it's missing is storytelling. What is actually happening in the scene? And the answer is nothing. It's just a bunch of people next to some weird monolith with a weird-looking tree next to it, and the guys posing for the camera. There's a tank. There's a ship. There's there's nothing going on. It's boring. There's nothing to look at. More practice drawing women. It's not very common, but yeah. Anyhow, moving on. This is actually a picture that my brother drew. This is a photocopy. If there's one, like if I were to die prematurely, and if one person were to inherit my my channel, my brother is actually the guy that I would hope would be willing to continue what I started. Anyhow. Yeah, just kind of drawing an alien. Just, yay, I drew an alien in a white void. Yay. Yay, I drew this guy that looks like he's from medieval times and he's got a huge freaking sword. Yay. Gibberish. I mean, nowadays there's actually a electronic cigarette that's the shape of that. And I had no idea back in, when was it? Was this 2000? I have no idea. But anyhow, yeah, this was a superhero I was developing when I was a kid. Kinda dumb. I don't know. I'm not really into superheroes anymore. I used to be. But now it's just like, can't comic books be about people that aren't in tights? Little bits of inspiration. I mean, I really like Zelda and such like that, so why the heck not? I mean, yeah, just doodling while talking on the phone. This is back in the day when phones were not cordless and cell phones were rare. An illustration of an ape with that device on the back of the head that gives it a psychology that's more like a human. And I like this image, but this is all from memory. I didn't even use a reference, which, you know, it's surprising to me that people know that it's an ape, because, you know, a lot of times, you know, you think about drawing something and you draw what you think something looks like instead of drawing what it actually looks like. Okay? And this is kind of a combination of both, I guess, where like I remembered well enough what an ape looked like to draw it convincingly, but drew it human enough to make it fit the character of an ape with a device on the back of the head that gives it a psychology that's more human-like. I mean, even its hair up here is stylized for that. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting image for me. I think this is just a spaceship design. Nothing special. Okay, this is another one of those stupid images that makes no sense. It's just like, you know, this is before Halo came out. In fact, I don't think there's a date on this image, but I drew this before Halo came out. This is a concept that's been around for a long time. You know, a ring-like artificial planet. But, you know, it's just there. And then, you know, there's these characters that are just kind of posing for the camera. And then there's, you know, a planet there at the bottom. And it's just like, why? Okay, that's great. You know, why would I look at this image? There's no reason to look at it. There's no storytelling. There's like, okay, cool people standing there posing for the camera. I mean, this is almost as bad as a picture where characters are standing in a white void. I guess for like cover art, it would be okay, but like it's not really that remarkable. Okay, so this image is kind of interesting. This is where I felt like I was hitting the mark. This is what my artwork needed, but I also felt like I didn't have the expertise to continue the image. You can see that there's this super light line that's drawn out here. The idea is that he's hiding behind a wall, and that there's something going on this side of the canvas. But midway through drawing it, I just kind of gave up, because it's like, I'm just going to screw it up, and this is the best it's ever going to look. Nowadays, I could finish this image, but I don't know. I mean, this is oriented around my my book that I was drawing, that I was writing in high school. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like, why would I do that? Why would I try to continue that? Because it's so there's so many things that's wrong with that book. Yeah, you can see Star Wars influences and stuff like that. Some of it's a little bit too blatant. So yeah. Drawing from Danger Girls. I really liked how the artist drew women. You'll see a number of pictures like this. And here's my bad guy character. He has to look evil because he is evil. which is stupid. That's a stupid idea. Yeah. I mean, like, if someone like this were to come over to you and start talking all manipulative to you, do you think that you would trust him? I mean, like, how effective would this guy be as a bad guy, looking creepy, while doing creepy things? I think most people would be like, dude, get the hell away from me. So, like, a bad guy that looks like a bad guy wouldn't have much success, in my point of view. Okay, an alien design. This I like a lot. Basically, the idea is that the tentacles have eyes and such like that. I don't know, it is inspired by an image that I was drawing from, sort of, but then I kind of modified it as time kind of further developed. But yeah. Drawing an image without a vanishing point again, but this is actually a half-decent image. I like it. The only thing is I started to draw this guy and realized I'm screwing up the image, and so I just stopped. I didn't want to screw up the picture. And that was a smart decision. Another alien standing there staring at the camera inside of a white void. Yay! A picture of a dude standing there in a white void. Anyhow, so, this was supposed to be a concept image of the Fremen from Dune. And, yeah. Moving on. I drew from an image for this, not quite sure what I was drawing from, but it turned out okay. More guys standing there posing for the camera. The only good thing about this is that the characters, I mean, at least I'm drawing more than one thing on the canvas. That's the thing. And once again, I have a guy in a Captain Morgan pose with their foot on, radioactive waste. Yay. Like, I have a feeling, like, somewhere in the back of my mind where I think that other people, like a lot of other people, have done that. Where it's just like, oh, that's funny, that character, his foot is on radioactive waste. I don't know. Anyhow, this is when I started kind of redesign the characters, and I kind of actually think I was onto something here, but, like I said, there's just too many problems with the book that I was writing in high school. This is an alien that my brother designed, and I wanted to kind of draw a character inside of my brother's universe, and, yeah. Yeah, an idea. Like, I already talked about this idea instead of the previous video talking about my childhood artwork. The idea of a Gatling gun that you can wear as a bracelet. It's kind of a stupid idea. Alright. Another alien standing there in a white void. Yeah! Moving on. I had a weird idea that, there would be spaceships designed to look like animals and bugs. But as time wore on, that idea kind of exhausted itself and became kind of stupid. But yeah. Drawing from Frank Frazetta. Okay, this was supposed to be Dune fan art. It doesn't tell a story, and ultimately that's why I stopped drawing it. I mean, it's a bunch of dunes. Siege Tabor was supposed to be out here, and yeah, it's just me drawing the landscape of Dune. I mean, it's an okay image. It's just I never finished it because it had no story to tell. So yeah, it never went anywhere. Drawing from Todd McFarlane. I never learned anything from drawing from Todd McFarlane. Unfortunately. I wish I did. A friend of mine drew out a bunch of wings to birds, and it kind of helped me perceive, I don't know, what it is that's going on with a bird's wing is the thing. I drew from something for this image. You can see that I was struggling with getting a character to look like they're holding on to something. And so, yeah, she's just holding it in the wrong place. She looks like she is holding it, but the center of gravity to a sword is usually like right here. Like, you should be able to like have a sword where you can balance it either with one finger or two fingers right here on the blade. Like, so like the idea that she'd be holding it there is just kind of weird. Yeah, this is just like a reference. Like, sometimes I wouldn't have references readily available, and so I would trace the work of artists that I admired. This is Michael Turner's work. I really like the way that he drew women, and so yeah, I just kind of did it. Like, they weren't like, these are nudes, but like they weren't nudes inside of the comic book that I traced them out of. It's just, you know, ultimately it's like a reference on the human form and trying to understand it. Okay, this is one of the screw-up images, one of the stupid pictures, okay? First of all, his hips look frickin' ridiculous. He looks stupid. And then, you know, I drew him in a room. The coolest room you could ever think of. He's got a punching bag. He's got a basketball hoop. He's got a basketball. You can see the exit to the room. And you got a bench right there. And for some reason, he's got a dresser in this room with a potted plant in the same room as a basketball hoop. It's just the stupidest combination of things. I mean, like, it's great that I was experimenting with drawing more things in an image than just one thing. But again, it doesn't tell a story, and, like, the room makes no sense. So, like, yeah, there's that. This almost tells a story. I mean, it looks like they're sneaking around somewhat, and she's pointing at something. And if she was actually pointing at something that you could see on the canvas, then it would be telling a story. Yeah, I hate that picture. Another reference sheet that I traced from Michael Turner's work. You could just kind of see. I really like Michael Turner's work. It's really unfortunate that he died so young of cancer. It's really sad. Like, one of my favorite artists, and he just, almost as quickly as he appeared on the scene as one of the best artists out there, he died. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyhow, yeah, just an alien standing there in a white void. Really cool looking alien, but I never did anything with it. So, it might as well have never even existed. Stupid. I'm not even going to want to talk about that. Don't even want to talk about that, really. Alright, yep. Another image where I was drawing from Danger Girls. I drew from something for this image, but I'm not really quite sure what. But yeah, it came out alright. Another image that I drew from Danger Girls. I just like the way that the artist drew the girls looking really cute. And so, yeah. Experimenting with comic book storytelling, way too much text on the page. Anyhow, yeah. Kinda dumb. Anyhow, yeah. He looks stupid. Yep, same character, still looking stupid, and for some reason he looks like he's got sweatpants on. And yet he's got like a bow tie on. Stupid picture. Spaceship design. You know, inspiration, I guess. Okay, this is a screw up, and so I might as well talk about it. So, trying to draw an action scene. First of all, there's just a little bit too much going on all at once on this page. Second of all, this guy just doesn't look like he's got any force to his kick, yet this guy that is kind of like hunched over looks as though, oh, he's getting kicked really hard, but there's no force to it. And so it just, I don't know, it just, I look at this image and it's like, this guy is totally going to die. But that's not what the story was supposed to be, so whatever. I don't know, it's an image that just wasn't going to turn out very good, so I just stopped. And so I kept it around because I wanted to know what it is that was wrong with the image. Sometimes I just have blank papers. Alright. Yep.
Well, howdy how, I draw a cowboy. Yeah, doggy. And I couldn't draw a horse to save my life. And because I couldn't draw the horse, I didn't finish the cowboy. Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Anyhow. Yeah, trying to draw out a scene. Like, I had a lot of pictures like this, actually. If you've seen both videos where I've been showing off my childhood artwork, there's a number of pictures where I've tried drawing out pictures in perspective, and it's just like, it just doesn't, it wasn't thought out, these steps aren't measured out, and, I just kind of stopped prematurely because I just felt like I couldn't do it. And that's fine. Just do it as much as you can and just keep practicing. Keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. Yeah, nothing. This is actually an original that my brother drew. I mean, it's not finished, obviously. Like, he only drew a small snippet of this character. But it's kind of cool that I have a picture that my brother drew. I don't think he even remembers drawing it either.
I'm angry. I'm so mad.
Spaceship design. Yeah, nothing on that page. Yeah, just kind of experimenting with poses. More spaceship designs. Stick figure repository that didn't work out. I don't know, sometimes I just have gibberish. Yeah, spaceship design. I know there's not anything on these pages worth looking at. Yep. Experimenting with storytelling. More experimentation with storytelling. I think the next one is another one. Okay, yeah, this is like the events prior to that. Just trying to see if I could and such. Oh, this is an old one. Doesn't he look like my mascot? Like, seriously. I couldn't draw the radioactive symbol correctly, but, you know, Captain Morgan pose. Yeah. Bits of inspirational images. Nothing I drew. That's what I'm flipping through. Okay, this picture. Okay. I really screwed up this picture. It doesn't look very good, but... Points. Yep.
Anyways, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys would like to participate more with my community, feel free to join my Discord. A link is in the video description below. If you'd like to support this channel, there's an image of my mascot in the upper right corner of the screen. It leads to my Patreon. Or feel free to purchase one of my t-shirts. A link to my Teespring is in the video description below. Any support would be much appreciated. If you've enjoyed this content and would like to see more, feel free to click on anything else that's appearing on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your time.